If you cannot produce evidence quickly, you effectively do not have the control even if the work was done. This AiQualtest episode gives product, engineering, risk, and quality teams a practical, vendor-neutral playbook for audit-ready evidence packs in 2026. Use a simple operating loop: collect, index, prove, and retain. That loop keeps conversations concrete when stakeholders disagree about quality or risk. Why this matters: auditors and regulators ask for reconstructible proof of testing, decisions, and monitoring. Evidence packs organize that proof by system and release. They reduce scramble and increase trust. Enterprises shipping AI into banking, insurance, healthcare, and digital operations cannot rely on hallway demos. Buyers, auditors, and internal second-line risk partners ask for repeatable methods, version artifacts, and clear ownership. If you cannot explain how you tested and what evidence you keep, you do not have AI quality, you have optimism. Core concepts come next. Do not memorize jargon, operationalize each idea into cases, metrics, and gates. Concept 1: Evidence Index. Map claims to artifacts, evals, sign-offs, monitors, incidents. Start with the index. In practice, treat this as a measurable property: define what good looks like, attach evidence, and track it across model, prompt, data, and tooling changes. Concept 2: Release binders. Bundle scorecards, versions, and approvals per release. Make go-live defensible. In practice, treat this as a measurable property: define what good looks like, attach evidence, and track it across model, prompt, data, and tooling changes. Concept 3: Control linkage. Tie each control to how it is tested and how often. Orphan controls fail audits. In practice, treat this as a measurable property: define what good looks like, attach evidence, and track it across model, prompt, data, and tooling changes. Concept 4: Retention rules. Keep artifacts for required periods with access control. Deletion needs policy. In practice, treat this as a measurable property: define what good looks like, attach evidence, and track it across model, prompt, data, and tooling changes. Concept 5: Sampling readiness. Be ready to show raw cases, not only summaries. Auditors sample. In practice, treat this as a measurable property: define what good looks like, attach evidence, and track it across model, prompt, data, and tooling changes. Concept 6: Continuous update. Refresh packs as systems change. Stale binders are liabilities. In practice, treat this as a measurable property: define what good looks like, attach evidence, and track it across model, prompt, data, and tooling changes. Here is a real-world pattern. Setting: payments firm facing an internal audit of its LLM-powered fraud narrative generator. Previously, evidence was scattered across tickets and chat. An evidence index and release binders produced scores, pins, and sign-offs in one day. Auditors sampled failing cases and found closed corrective actions. The finding count dropped versus the prior year's scramble. Notice the pattern: define scope, run controlled tests, capture evidence, decide with named owners, and feed failures back into the next cycle. That is how AI quality becomes a system property, not a slide. Common mistakes slow mature programs. Mistake 1: Relying on tribal knowledge instead of indexed artifacts. Teams that skip this create silent risk that surfaces in production or audits. Mistake 2: Keeping only summary metrics without sample-level evidence. Teams that skip this create silent risk that surfaces in production or audits. Mistake 3: Losing version pins that tie scores to releases. Teams that skip this create silent risk that surfaces in production or audits. Mistake 4: Updating systems without updating the evidence pack. Teams that skip this create silent risk that surfaces in production or audits. The antidote is discipline: small goal sets, explicit thresholds, change control, and monitoring that connects production incidents back to evaluation suites. Key takeaways for your team. Takeaway 1: Index claims to artifacts before audit season. Takeaway 2: Bind evidence per release with versions and approvals. Takeaway 3: Retain and protect artifacts by policy. Takeaway 4: Keep packs continuously current. Write these into your team wiki and release checklist so they survive staffing changes. Your next steps this week: Create an evidence index for your highest risk AI system this month. Then, assemble a release binder template and use it on the next go live. Keep the artifacts, prompts, datasets, scores, approvals so you can defend the decision later. Where this fits the AiQualtest method, learn the foundations with AiVELabs, practice with hands-on cases, and validate with governed evaluation evidence. Visit aiqualtest.com and learn.aiqualtest.com. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for weekly AI quality, evaluation, and governance episodes. Additional depth for practitioners. Treat Audit Ready Evidence Packs as a controlled experiment. Version the inputs, freeze the environment where possible, record who approved exceptions, and rerun after every material change, model upgrade, prompt edit, retrieval index refresh, or tool permission change. Pair quality metrics with latency, cost, and safety signals so trade-offs are visible to product owners. When results regress, open an incident-style review even if the feature still looks fine in a demo. Governed teams prefer boring, evidence-backed releases over surprising wins that cannot be reproduced.